you're looking to manual swap your IS300, this video is for you. I forgot to mention this in the intro, but this video is for you if you have a W58 or W55 and you want to manual swap your car. So yeah, if you have one of those two transmissions, this video is for you. I've encountered many issues when manual swapping my IS300 and have watched tons of videos on how to manual swap your IS300. So this video is what not to do when manual swapping your IS300. So let's go through the main points first, and then I'll talk about the tools that you need and the parts that you need, which I do have a parts list in the description. So just pop on over there, get the parts list, and then comment below that you got the parts list, just to let me know if there's any problems or if you like it or if you appreciate it. So yeah, the main points. Do not get a manual ECU for your IS300 when manual swapping it, because this is unknown knowledge according to YouTube. All the videos don't say this, but when you put a manual ECU into an automatic IS300 and manual swap it, you're gonna be in limp mode. I don't care what you say. I don't care that if the speedometer still works due to the speed sensors, the wheel speed sensors, the ABS sensors. You're going to be put into a unofficial limp mode. Keep the automatic ECU. Search up how to wire the emulator, the ATEMU, ATEMU. It's in the list description below. I also provided a link in that list on how to do it. But yeah, do that instead. Number 2, brake pedal and clutch pedal. You could buy OEM brake pedal, a brake pedal from a manual IS300, and an OEM clutch pedal from a manual IS300. Or you could cut the brake pedal and get the brake pedal, the manual brake pedal pad, and glue it on top. That works. But with the clutch, if you get the excessive manufacturing clutch, that clutch pedal is gonna wear on the carpet, and there's no clutch stop on that kind of aftermarket pedal. So your clutch pedal is bound to get stuck after driving a while. So don't do that. When you're about to put the manual transmission in, there's gonna be a transmission tunnel to your right, okay? There's gonna be a tiny square hole where the automatic shifter basically sat. You're gonna need to cut that a little bit, notch it just a little bit on the forward portion, okay? Don't leave that open, because exhaust fumes may come into the vehicle, heat will come into the vehicle, even water, like any debris from underneath the car can come into the vehicle. Therefore, you could cut out a trans tunnel portion. I provided it in the list. Again, I'm going to say that a lot. From a manual IS300, which is difficult. Or you could buy a transmission tunnel cover. That's what it's called, I think. That just bolts right on to where there are existing holes. So do that instead. Alright, so the tools that you will need. Do not manual swap your car on 3-ton jack stands, because they're puny, they're tiny, and you're going to be under there for a long time, either bench pressing the transmission onto your chest, hucking it on the side off the trans jack, and it's going to be a pain. So buy yourself some 6-ton jack stands. Do not use a jack to lower your trans. Get a trans jack. They're like $70 at Harbor Freight. Okay? You're going to need to back off all the bell housing bolts on the automatic transmission. And on these IS300s, the tunnel is very small, so you're going to need a ton of extensions and swivel sockets for I think a 14 and a 17. I'll correct myself with the editing. Another thing, when you're buying your clutch assembly, so like the pressure plate, the clutch disc, as well as the flywheel, it will not come with flywheel bolts, nor will it come with the bolts for the pressure plate. So you're going to have to source the bolts for the pressure plate according to the clutch that you bought, and you will have to source the flywheel bolts according to the flywheel that you bought. There are 2 types of bolts. There are 2 types of flywheels, sorry. A single mass flywheel and a dual mass flywheel. If you have a dual mass flywheel, which is the OEM option, you can get the normal bolts from ARP, the longer ones. But you need shorter bolts if you get a lighter flywheel. That's a single mass. Another thing is, the automatic transmission is very, very heavy. I recommend draining the fluid first and then pulling the transmission out. But the the automatic transmission is cooled by the automatic radiator. You don't need a new radiator. Trust me, I used the old radiator for a while. All you need to do is basically cut off the metal cooling pipe for the automatic transmission cooler, and just like put stoppers on them. So you can do that. All right. So we already we already went through all the tools that you need. Basic tools at the garage. You'll figure it out as you go, but the main ones I already mentioned before. Alright, for the parts that you need, the do's, do nots, stuff like that. I'm going to put up a list on screen right now. I'm going to quickly scroll through it. I made an ultimate list that includes every little thing that people forget about, which people forget about the throwout bearing, they forget about the clutch fork, because they said, oh yeah, a Toyota clutch fork would fit. No. If you get a Mark III Super Clutch fork, it will not work. It's too short. You need to get a W55 one. A lot of people will buy a W58 thinking that it'll just line up perfectly. It won't line up perfectly. You'll need to convert the W58 shifter extension to the W55 shifter extension. And I've included all the part numbers, all the OEM part numbers in the list on how to have the shifter, instead of you having to cut more and having the shifter up here, it's going to be at the stock location. I've also included the part numbers for the OEM shift boot, OEM shifter, OEM brake pad and clutch pad, you know, the pedal pads. I've included all that in. So people forget about the pilot bearing, the throwout bearing. People forget about even clutch lines and the fluid that you should run. On a W55 and W58, you should run MT90, Redline MT90. That's the best fluid. I run it in my diff. I run it in my transmission. It's the best. Also, if you'll need to wire in the reverse lights. I'm not really sure how, but I think I included a website that has a ton of information on how to do that in the list again, and I included the website and part number for the reverse light and the reverse light plug, so you could pin that. I also included the transmission speed sensor, which is also another problem. If you do have a manual ECU and a manual swapped IS300, you will need to wire in the VSS, the vehicle speed sensor from the transmission that you need to get from W55, which is in the list. You'll need to wire that properly into the cluster as well as the ECU, because to my knowledge, the manual ECU is supposed to take speed from the speed sensor, so it's a 3-pin speed sensor. One of the wires goes to power, one of the wire goes to the cluster, and one of the wire goes to the ECU. Without that, you're going to be in limp mode if you have a manual ECU. So that is very, very important knowledge. Also, if you have a W55, the tail housing will be different. So you're going to have to get a W55 transmount. Let me repeat that. If you have a W58, the tail housing bolts will be different. So you're going to need to get a W55 trans bushing mount. You know what I'm talking about? Here's the support. Here's the mount, like the bushing, the rubber thing, and here's the transmission. So you're going to need the W55 one, if you have a W55 and if you have a W58. Also, if you made the mistake like me and sold off your automatic ECU and somehow got the manual ECU to work with your car, to get you out of limp mode, you need the speed sensor. And when buying the speed sensor, it's very, very tricky, because the bolt hole on most of them is going to be on the wrong side, causing the clip to be facing upward into the trans mount. You need to find the one that has the clip, the plug, facing downward, so you can just plug it in like that. I've included the links in the list. Everything you need to know, to my knowledge, is in the list. The ultimate guide for manual swapping your vehicle. Manual swapping your 2002 to 2005 IS300. It's in the list. So just trust me. I manual swapped it 2 years ago, and I've learned all this in the past 2 years. In the past 4 years, actually, because when I bought my IS300, I was 16, and I really, really wanted to manual swap it. So I researched for 2 years and saved up money, spent that money, and 2 years still, I'm still learning about what I did wrong with the manual swap and what I should do to fix it. If you like this video, comment below. If you appreciate the knowledge, comment below. If you like the list, comment below. If you have any questions, hit me up, comment below. If the link isn't working for the list, comment below. Just let me know. I'm here to help. So if you ever need anything about manual swapping your 2002 to 2005 IS300, either comment below or DM me on Instagram, man in the mirror, not mirror, Mira. So yeah, if you like this video, let me know. And if you have any questions, also let me know. Peace.